Everyone. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to your CFA Open Day. Moderators, just confirm you can hear and see our shared screen before I hand over to Mr. T.
Hi, Timo, I can hear you.
Yes, can you see the slide?
Yes, I can see the slide.
Over to you, Mr. T.
Okay, right. So this works like the other one.
Yes, this works.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Hello. Good evening.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Sorry. A vast majority of you did indicate that you will be attending via live stream. So we're doing face-to-face now as well as live stream. So if you're online, welcome. I'm just setting up something here so I can get started. Okay, so if you're on live stream, I guess you can't see me. I guess nowadays what's important is my voice. You can't see me, but you can hear my voice. You're here face to face, you can see me, and therefore you don't need this image here because you can see me live. If you're live on live stream, that is my image. I'm introducing myself now. That's my image that you're seeing on the screen. My name is Valentine. I am the CEO of CharterQuest. And those are my credentials right below there. I'm a chartered accountant. I'm a chartered certified accountant. I'm a certified project manager. All a number of professional qualifications. Okay, so I'll be talking to you about CFA. Let me just. Okay, we did a quick survey for those of you who had indicated your willingness to join. We had about 35 responses. I'm sure a vast majority of you are actually trying now. I'm just giving a quick rundown of our understanding of who you are. That will give you an indication why we structure our open day the way we do. Okay, we had asked you how you'll be seeking to attend. Tino, what do I do? I do this as we normally do. Okay, good. So we had asked you how you are attending our open day. Vast majority of you do. Let's say you attend through live stream. Okay, the next area, I want a few of you say you will attend on campus. So welcome to our open day. We also did ask you which level of CFA are you looking to study. Obviously, the big blue, the almost 80%, the vast majority of you did say that you are actually looking at going to level 1. So basically, it's a level 1 open day as it were, because the other areas, level 2, level 3, they're quite tiny, maybe 1 or 2 of you. So as you can see, it's broadly level 1. So if you find me spending more time on level 1, please, by all means, if you are interested in level 2, level 3, you can always pose additional questions if I miss certain things about your level. In an open day like this, you hope that there should be an even balance between the various levels. But clearly, 80% of you are in level 1. So I'll spend more time on level 1, like I pointed out. But we run all levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. So if there are specific questions, you're welcome to. So as we also sought out to know whether you've attempted CFA exams before, the vast majority of you, almost 97%, said no, you have never attempted CFA exams before. What is that telling us? You don't even know what CFA is all about. Obviously, you've not attended the exam before. You don't understand the content. You don't know what CFA is all about. So we'll spend a bit of some time to really help you understand whether you even want to do CFA, let alone going through those gruesome exams and all the rest. So since 97% of you have never even attended the exams, I'll spend some time talk about CFA, how it is structured, how the exams work, and all the rest, so you get some sense what you're getting yourself into. Okay, we've also asked you, have you been studying by yourself or through another institution? You know, that's for those of you who've been studying. A vast majority of you say it's your first time. So you've never really studied. There's a small blue there who says, I've been studying by myself, which obviously means that you are looking at joining a campus. Obviously, joining a reputable tuition provider is a much better chance than trying to study by yourself. So yeah, 80% first time, and a few percentage there, 14%, you've been doing self-study. So I try and respond to that. Okay, and then we asked you to give us specific questions. I'll be looking to answer these questions, but you can clearly see from surveys, many of you don't even from the questions some of you were asking, I could clearly see how the questions reflect the survey. The questions like, how does this work? Can I do this? You can clearly see that a lot of you have very little information about CFA and you're still trying to understand. That nonetheless, we got some sense of what your specific questions are. I'm going to put them up, but the goal is so that I can come back and revisit them and make sure that I've addressed the questions that arose, and thank you for sharing those questions. The first one says, I would really appreciate some career advice. I have been contemplating the CFA, but I'm not entirely sure that it is suitable for the type of career I'm anticipating. Okay, good question. You've been pursuing CFA, you're not sure whether it's suitable for the career you're pursuing, but we don't know what the career you're trying to pursue, so we don't know how we're going to answer that question. So if it is you who ask this question, please take notes. At the end, we're going to ask people to do follow-up questions and give us specific. In the process of me presenting CFA, you'll get a sense what career options CFA can lead you to. But because we don't know what your specific career plans are, we cannot really tell whether CFA is what is right for you or not. So when we get there, please by all means, give us a bit more indication what your career plans are. What is the cost of the CFA program? We hope to answer that. Okay, I'm an economics graduate and I'm stressed about registering for this journey. I'm currently enrolled for my honors in economics and would like to know whether it would be wise to register whilst I'm completing the honors degree or try next year. Okay, we'll be looking to address that. How often do we attend class? I'm sure you're referring to classes. You will see that when we present our timetables. Okay, difficult subject students should put more effort and attention during their studies. So you want to know which parts of CFA are the more difficult, where we should put more attention. We'll be looking to answer that through our presentation. Do we first make the payment for the next exam date under CFA, and then how does this institution support students to pass the exam first? And thank you so much for that question. That's precisely why we're here today, to show you how we assist you to pass your exams first time. And then we'll answer the part how you do your payments to CFA down the line. Which designation is more in demand in a general level between CFA and CIMA? Why choose CFA? So you're basically asking, I'm contemplating between CFA and CIMA, which one is more on demand? Why should I choose CFA and not CIMA? That's a hard question to answer because today we're doing a CFA open day. We also have a CIMA open day. Take 1 hour to really help you understand CFA, another 1 hour to really help you to understand CIMA. So the best way to really know which one is better between the two is to attend both open days. But I'm going to try and give you some good summary as to how they are different and others, how that can position you. Number 8, you asked, with first-time pass guarantee, have you managed to maintain it consistently with CFA? What is your institution's pass rate for CFA level 1? Okay, we'll be looking to answer that for you regarding our first-time guarantee and our pass rates. How will the intake process work if we are registering to write the exam in November? In that case, how will payment plan work? When will the institute go back to face-to-face? I wonder if people are asking, when will we go back face-to-face? We went back face-to-face a long time ago. This is the one question I cannot wait to answer right now. There's no question like, when are we going to go back face-to-face? We went back as soon as lockdown was, where they brought down to level 1 back in 2020. We'd already resumed face-to-face. So if you're wondering whether we're operating face-to-face, be rest assured that we have been since 2020. Okay, now I think that was just a clip. That doesn't answer the question. But we've been hearing you, what your questions are, and we are seeking to address that through our presentation. I'll revisit this to provide you clear-cut answers. Okay, so given that many of you don't really know what CFA is all about, let me spend some time to really talk about what the CFA is all about and what you might be getting yourself into should you choose to do this very rigorous part. Now, at a very broad level, now this is very broad, okay? By broad, I'm saying research globally and even in South Africa says that the top areas that CFA charter holders would end up finding themselves. So in other words, if there are 1,000 CFA charter holders in the country, probably find that 70% are working in these areas: equities, fixed income, private equity, derivatives, and real estate. Those are where 70% of the CFA holders, that is where they find themselves. So you want to go, what is equity? What is private equity and all these things? You will see when we get into the content. There are a number of syllabus areas, and you begin to understand, okay, this is where private equity fits, this is where derivatives fit. So if you are asking, I want to do a CFA, where will I end up? Okay, very broadly, you end up working in this field, equity analyst, equity researcher, and all those type of things, fixed income analyst, credit analyst, work with Standard & Poor, Alexander Forbes, credit rating agencies, and all those sort of privileges like investment banks on the the credit rating component of investment bank. Private equity, which is now, how is it different from this? This is now equities, listed companies, okay? How to raise equities with respect to listed companies. Obviously, this then is about how to raise equity for private investors, as it were. Derivatives, also another very popular area. These are instruments that are designed to engineer financial risks in the financial markets, forward contracts, futures contracts, options contracts, swaps, swaptions, and all those various. No, they are normally designed to control what is happening in the spot markets in terms of risk management. So one area you might look at, we'll see that a bit more. The real estate is what everybody probably will be familiar with. I mean, if you're not familiar with any of these, you would be. I mean, real estate is basically the buying and selling of houses, construction of houses, selling of houses, infrastructure. Broadly speaking, it could be broken into commercial real estate, residential real estate. That is a whole huge segment of investment, as it were. Okay, so and I must point out, when I say 70%, I mean that is where many people are from. You have CFAs who are risk managers in companies. You have CFAs who are finance directors in companies. You have CFAs who are working in various different aspects. Loan derivatives controller, loan books controller. So these are just the broad areas. Okay, there's still a number of CFAs who work in areas which are way outside of these top areas. Now, it doesn't get more specialized than this. When we talk about finance, now this is finance. This is not accounting. This is not economics. It's about as technical finance as it gets. Okay. Some of the kinds of job titles you will probably find in the industry with CFA, the chief, some they call themselves chief investment officer. Just like in a company you have a CEO, CFAs are the work, they advise investors and advise clients, so they work in asset management and investment management companies. So the head of such companies are called chief investment officer, what you commonly call CEO. Okay. Well, they are portfolio manager, they are research analyst, risk manager, consultant. Okay, that's just a very broad outline. So if those things sound sexy to you and say, oh wow, I would like to be there, then you should tell you that CFA is what I want to really do, because CFA is really what you have to have to come anywhere close to this type of things and this sort of job titles. Now, the question that then arises is, okay, well, what is it all about? What exactly am I studying? Okay. Now, CFA has 3 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3. So you're looking at writing 3 gruesome exams. Okay. Some people will ask, how long does it take? You can take 18 months to finish CFA. You can take 3 years. You can take 50 years. It's really up to you. The average person takes about 4 or 5 years to finish CFA. So you know from your past studies, whether when you were studying before, were you always in the top tier of your class, or you were always average? If you're always in the top tier of your class, I mean like top, it also depends on how strong your class was. Then you are the kind of person who can finish CFA in 18 months, But if you're always the average sort of person, then maybe look around 3 years to 4 years, because these are rigorous exams. Okay, it's not easy to start all the levels and finish them all, passing them first time. Especially if you're combining that with work and other responsibilities. Okay, but let me just point out. Okay, now here's how things are structured. Okay, CFA is structured into 10 syllabus areas. Let's get that very clear. CFA says there are 10 key syllabus areas that you need to grasp to become a chartered financial analyst. Okay, here are the 10 syllabus areas. 1, ethics and professional standards. 2, quantitative methods. 3, economics. Oops. Okay. 4, financial. This thing is quite sensitive. Okay. Financial reporting and analysis. 5, corporate finance. 6, equity investment. Fixed income. Doesn't want me to. Fixed income. I'm here now. I'm just trying to use the board, so if you're online, you can see where I am. Fixed income, so fixed income derivatives and the rest. Now, these same 10 areas, that's the syllabus. The syllabus doesn't change, okay? It's the same 10 things you are studying in level 1, in level 2, level 3. You can clearly see CFA has given some weights. Basically, this gives you an idea. They're basically saying ethics and professional standards will stay around 15% in all the levels, okay? Now, quantitative methods will start around 10% of the exams. In level 2, the proportion will drop between 5 and 10. By level 3, we are done with quantitative methods. You're not going to cover that anymore. Okay, economics starts with 10%. Then the concentration, the proportion drops to between 5 and 10. Level 3 between 5 and 10. Okay, financial statement and reporting starts with 15%, drops to 5 to 10. By that time, you get to 0. Okay, you can see the very next one there. Corporate finance starts with 10%, drops to 5 to 10, gets to 0. Now, you will notice here, take for instance, portfolio management and wealth planning, right at the bottom. Okay, and wealth planning, this one at the bottom, it starts with 6. In the next level, it rises between 5 and 10. By the time you go to level 3, it's now almost half the syllabus. So these are the 10 areas. Some of the areas they would be dropping as you're going across to the final levels. Some of them will be increasing in proportion. The question that arises is, why is portfolio management increasing? Why is that increasing? Ultimately, all investment is about putting in a portfolio. Investment is not about picking 1 or 2 stocks. You're not going to pick fixed income, real estate. You have to put that in a portfolio. So between level 1 and level 2, you are learning really how to identify the things to pick. Okay, in level 3, you are learning how to put in a portfolio and manage that portfolio to create the wealth that you have to create for you. So therefore, level 3, it takes 50% because assume that you now know the various aspects, various securities, and now you're focusing on how to put that together in the portfolio. Now, so I guess these are things you can just quickly look at on the CFA website. When they say something has fallen off the syllabus, it doesn't mean it's no longer tested. Okay, it's heavily tested in level 1, level 2. By the time you go to level 3, it is implied knowledge. You still have questions there you have to draw from it. So it's not an exam where you can pass level 1, you forget, then you think that you're going to pass level 2. You have to recall and remember what you learned in level. So by the time that quantitative methods, for instance, drops to 0, financial reporting drops to 0, you would have mastered it so well that you can, redeploy that if asked questions in the way you need to apply that. Okay. Now, so that's almost like the structure. I'll come back to how each level really works. But let me give you, since we're saying you might end up in equities, you might end up in fixed income, you can end up in private equity, you can end up in any of this. Let me just give you some very short, brief summary of what's going on in each of these. At face value, ethics and professional standards, what are we looking at there? CFA starts by saying, first of all, we are a professional. Okay? So you can have a PhD and your finance in your PhD or your master's degree in finance, it doesn't make you a professional. What makes you a professional is that you have signed off the code of ethics of a profession. You've accepted that you will be bound by the rules and codes of standards of this. And those code of ethics is very, very rigorous. And you accept that the minimum behavioral practices, how you deal with different aspects of conflict, aspects of professionalism, aspects of misconduct within your environment, your responsibilities as a supervisor of other CFA practitioners. There are some minimum standards that it doesn't matter how competent you are, if you cannot observe those standards. CFA says, no, you don't belong to the profession. So in that very first area, ethics and professional standards, the focus is the understanding of ethics, the behavioral practice of finance professionals. how to conduct yourself so you don't bring the profession into disrepute, you don't bring the capital market into disrepute, you don't bring your company into disrepute, you don't bring your clients into disrepute. How do you make sure that you practice the profession in a way that will always put you as a charter holder above board and well respected by the markets and all the stakeholders? That is what is going on here. Okay? And you can see this is the only one area which maintains almost the same level of concentration. 15%, 10 to 15%, 10 to 15%. It's same throughout. Some are falling, some are rising. CFA says ethics. This is it. If you're not going to be ethical, no. Okay. Now, what goes on into quantitative method? This is where CFA says, okay, as a CFA charter holder, I call it ARA. Okay, what we do ARA. So you'll find out on the course what is ARA. A stands for analysis, R stands for recommendations, A stands for action. So there are three things we do. We are paid to analyze securities, to analyze investment opportunities. It could be companies, it could be fixed income, it could be this, it could be this, various securities, private securities, public securities, short-term securities, long-term securities. That's what we pay to do. We pay to analyze those securities. Okay. Now, A stands for analysis. Now, obviously, for you to analyze, you need to collect data. Okay. Now, R stands for recommendation. After you analyze, you need to be able to give a recommendation. Buy this security, sell this security, take this position, don't take this position. That's our R. Then the last one says action. How do you make sure that you go about executing the security position that you advise your client? So where does quantitative methods fit in? You cannot do any analysis. If you're going to analyze ABSA, you need to understand ABSA Bank operates within an environment. You need to collect data about the environment within which ABSA operates. That could be its economic environment, it could be its political environment, it could be its technological environment. But you also need to collect data about ABSA's returns for the last 40 years. You know, how has ABSA performed for the last 40 years? You also need to analyze that data from, that return data. You can reevaluate it from many different points of view: arithmetic mean, geometric mean, analyze the risk of ABSA, standard deviation, Sortino ratio. So what we're doing here is to really say, you know what, we have to be able to quantify data. Okay, it's very easy to say, no, ABSA is doing well. No, ABSA is not doing well. Oh, FNB is doing well. But what does well mean? How do you quantify well? How do you really say this number means well, this number does not mean well? That's the meaning of quantitative method. It is teaching you all the methods that are available: financial, non-financial, top-down, bottom-up, how you can get a vast array of data and summarize that into histograms, into pie charts, how you can do hypothesis testing on this data, to confirm whether the data truly represents the population or whether it doesn't. If it does truly represent the population, conjecture the distribution of the, just to be able to quantify that, this information means the following in quantitative terms. So everything we're doing here is about, yeah, I get you, but can we quantify it? Can we quantify it? Can we quantify it? So finance is a quantitative discipline. Yes, there are behavioral aspects and soft aspects, but that is really what you'll be doing here. So it gives you all the tools to quantify any type of information. Okay. Now, obviously, there's another part which is called economics. Okay. Now, economics and quantitative methods, they go hand in hand. Securities will do or not do well based on the economic environment. So ultimately, if you can't understand the economic environment, how are you going to analyze any security? Whether you call it, whether it's bitcoins or fixed income or equities, any type of security, it rises or falls based on how the economy is performing. Now, within that economy, the government plays a very predominant role. You can set the direction for whether securities, fiscal policy. The Reserve Bank plays a very predominant role. Monetary policy, international trade has a very, very predominant role. Exchange rates have a predominant role. Price levels, demand and supply, unemployment, business cycles. All those things play a predominant role to determine where the economy is, where it is heading to. Now, so really what you are looking at here is to say, look, you cannot be a chartered finance analyst and can't analyze the economy, because it's financial analyst, finance operates within the framework of an economy. So the economics really takes you into that journey, how to break down the economy into different components, consumers, suppliers, producers, how their behaviors, influence interest rate, exchange rate, and all those sort of things. Now, obviously, the more you understand the economics, the more you can do quantitative. Because quantitative method literally picks what you have seen in the economy and try to quantify it. Okay, if the Reserve Bank says, here's this new direction for interest rates, okay, and then property prices start to fall, okay, exchange rate starts to rise, okay, how do you collect all that data which the economy is saying and quantify it and say this is what is going to be happening, okay? So that's where the quantitative methods and economics they talk to each other. And our company is financial statement and reporting. Now, obviously, you're not just gonna, if you want to know ABSA, you're not just gonna analyze ABSA's environment and quantify it. You need to go and study ABSA. Okay? The surest means to study ABSA is to look at what ABSA generally publishes as its financial statement. Most people, when you come to do a CFA, that is one area, especially most people come with an accounting background, that's one area most people are already familiar with. But this is really about, can you read the financial statements of it? Can you analyze it? Can you do ratio analysis? Okay. There's one area that students really struggle with when they get to this. Okay. I need to warn you now. Okay. When you get to this, if you studied accounting in South Africa, anywhere out of the US, the chances are that all the accounting you know is founded on IFRS, International Financial Reporting. That's the case because every other country around the world, their financial reporting systems are based on IFRS. But CFA is an American exam, okay, fine, it's an American exam, it's international, very global now, but its roots are in the US. In the US, they use US GAAP. US GAAP, you can say it's about 70% similar to IFRS, but it's got its own way of accounting and dealing with certain types of transactions. So one of the things that people struggle with here when they get to this is really everything you study, you have to study how it is done under IFRS and how it is done under US GAAP. Now, if you've been working your whole time out of US, you've never worked under US GAAP, you might, what is this? Why are we studying this thing? But it is what it is. You have to find a way to. So we try and break down, the way we structure our course is to really break down financial reporting analysis into the mainstreams we know, income statement, balance sheet, deferred taxation, all those things. We break that down, but we try and show you for everything we break down how it is done under US GAAP and how it immediately compares and contrasts against IFRS and all the rest. Okay, so that's the basic idea of this one. Okay, now corporate finance. At the end of the day, companies will need to raise finance. So corporate finance is about raising money to finance the strategic development of a company. And that money company has raised could be debt, it could be the equity. So here CFA really goes into why do companies raise money? What are the governance arrangements that must be in place to make sure that companies can raise the kind of money they have to raise? And you as a CFA charter holder, you'll be advising your clients who are investors to invest in companies. If you invest in companies, those are companies trying to raise finance, hence corporate finance. You need to know when companies want to raise money, what do they look out for? What is cost of capital? What is cost of equity? What is cost of debt? How does cost of debt and equity interact to determine the value of a company? Okay. When would companies do share buybacks? When would they not do share buybacks? Why would companies list on the stock exchange? Why would companies delist on the stock exchange? Now, if you know why companies go about raising money the way they do, you'll be able to advise your clients who are investors. See that company, it's about to raise money. If it raises money, this is what is going to happen. If it raises money through debt, this is the implications on its income statement or its balance sheet. If it raises money through equity, these are the implications. So that is really what you'll be looking at here. How to raise money and how to position your clients. So if you end up in working like for Investec, This invested Alexander Forbes, these investment banking firms who advise their corporate clients. For instance, the company wants to list on the stock market. That is corporate finance. Because why are you listing on the stock market? You want to be able to raise capital, okay, amongst other things. You approach Investec, they show you how to package and bring your company to be listed on the market. Or you're already listed on the market, you want to acquire another company that's majors. You have to approach Investec, Alexander Forbes, JP Morgan. They show you how to package and how to structure that deal and put in your bid for the other company and make sure really it works. So you could really, even though it's just one out of many things you'll be studying, this really you can zoom into this and end up in majors and acquisitions, or end up as in the corporate finance desk of the major investment bank. So that's what you'll be looking at here. Okay, a lot of time people confuse between it. Then there's also what is called equity. Now, these two, they make up corporate finance. In some areas, these two, other people will call it a corporate finance. But here's what CFA tries to do. It breaks down corporate finance into two components. The side of studying it through the companies who are trying to raise finance. Why are they trying to raise finance? What is the implications on their balance sheet if they were to raise finance, on their risk profile? How do they go about raising finance? It is this part. Okay? But CFA also says another leg of corporate finance is to actually just understand, not from the viewpoint of the company, hence we call it corporate finance, but from the viewpoint of the market. The market in which these companies go out to raise money from. Generally called an equity market. Okay. This part takes you into how an equity market structured. Okay. If we talk about Johannesburg Stock Exchange, what exactly is this? What goes on in the stock exchange? Who are the brokers? Who are the dealers? What roles do they play? What are the alternatives? You want to list your company or you can't list it on the stock exchange. What are the alternative mechanisms that you can still use to access capital from shareholders? So equity investments really, it leaves the company aside and studies the market where companies go to raise them. It goes as far as, I'm sure you've been hearing, the Johannesburg All Share Index, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange All Share Index, the mining index, the banking index. Oh, this company has outperformed the index. So this part literally goes deep into indices, how the indices are compiled, price index, market cap index, market cap weighted index, free float index. These are different indices which are compiled to make sure that when you can use the indices to judge the investor sentiment in the economy. You can use the indices to judge how different companies are performing in relation to a particular sector. So that's actually what equity investment is. Basically, what does the equity market look like? So that when you come out, if you are employed to work in the stock exchange, you have a fairly good idea how the stock exchange is organized and how it functions. Okay. Then you have fixed income. I'm sure you recall we talked about fixed income here. This is now where, you literally say, okay, I need to spend some time. The bond market or the fixed income market, okay, is a separate market on its own. Okay. So here, what you are really looking at, you say, if you wanted to raise money through bonds, what are bonds? How are bonds structured? Okay. What is the par value of a bond? What is the present value of a bond? How do interest rates affect the value of bonds? So here you always hear about economies, they are talking about interest rate. Interest rates don't affect companies that much. Obviously, we know that companies raise debt, so interest will affect them. But interest rate affects the bond market like you cannot do. So in fixed income, this is where you really take the concept of a bond of fixed income and say, okay, here is a bond, here is interest rates. You will spend almost 3 weeks just trying to understand how interest rate movement, when the Reserve Bank meets and decides to increase interest rate, what happens to the value of fixed income? What happens to the par value? What happens to the market value? What happens to the fair value? Different aspects of value, and how can you predict the relationship between interest rates and the price of bonds? When investors take bond and put in the portfolio, fixed income, what are they expecting to generate out from that process? So you spend an awful amount of time just studying this particular area, you know, how interest rates actually affect their values as well as their prices. Now, the next part is what is called derivatives. This is the part that we talked about. Okay. By derivative, it simply means a financial instrument that derives its value from what is happening in the underlying market. Okay. So what do we mean? You are buying gold and selling gold, and you're worried about gold prices rising or falling against your wish. You can buy a derivative, you can call it gold futures or gold forward or gold options. A derivative, any contract that you buy to help you protect yourself from gold prices becoming too volatile in the underlying market. That would be a gold derivatives. Or you're buying and selling goods abroad, you're worried about exchange rate. Exchange rate will go up or down against you, and you want to control against those exchange rates. You can buy a currency derivative. It could be currency forward, currency futures, currency swaptions, and all the rest. So derivatives are simply financial instruments that are developed. They derive their value from what is happening in the spot. They are interest rate derivatives. It tries to control interest rate risk. Okay, there are exchange rate derivatives. It tries to control exchange rate risk. Okay, there are gold derivatives. It tries to control the volatility of gold prices. So this is really where you begin to learn how, because as you build these instruments, analyze these various securities for your clients, you put them in your portfolio. I mean, the prices can be very volatile. You're going to promise your clients that if you invest in this thing, you're going to get 30% return year on year over the next 5 years. But now your client puts your money there, then the returns become very volatile, up and down, up and down. How do you control that volatility? You need derivatives. So you spend a lot of time on derivatives, you know, just understand what are derivatives, what are different types of derivatives, what are the markets where derivatives are bought and sold, you know, and how do you structure a derivative to control the risks that your asset positions might be exposed to. Okay, that's basically what you're looking at here. Here, alternative investment. Okay? Now, what are we trying to do here? CFA says, okay, CFA breaks investments into traditional investment and alternative. Whenever you hear about fixed income, it is seen as traditional investment. When you hear about equities, it's seen as traditional investments means these ones that we always know, oh, you can invest in the company, you buy shares in the company, that's traditional. You can buy bonds in the company, that's traditional. But CFA says there's a different class of investment, okay, which CFA generally categorizes as alternative investment. They are alternative to the traditional one. Real estate is seen as alternative investment. Infrastructure is seen as alternative investment. Commodities is seen as alternative investment. You know? So any other investment, you know, hedge funds, private equity, any other investment programs and securities which do not fall in the category of normal debt or equity of a company are deemed to be alternative investment. You know, there are people who leave CFA and they work throughout their life just in alternative investment. So this is where literally you are introduced into all the other investments. Talk about big, talk about real estate, talk about infrastructure, talk about, you know, commodities. You know, and you can break down commodities further into soya beans and oil and petroleum and gold and platinum. You can go on and on. These are all commodities. Okay, it's a big market on its own. So this is really where CFA begins to introduce you. Obviously, in level 1 it's just 6%. Okay, as you go up, it goes up slightly again. It goes up slightly. By the time you finish level 3, you can almost then say, okay, I think this is the area that I want to build my career from. And then obviously the last one talks about portfolio management. Now, everything you're doing here, okay, here you learn how to behave yourself as a finance professional. Let's summarize. Okay, here you learn how to behave yourself as a finance professional. Your conduct is under the spotlight. Here you learn how to quantify anything you see. Here you learn how the economy affects the securities you're going to pick. Here you learn how to analyze the financial statements or financial statements that relate to the security. Here you learn how companies raise money and what makes them to raise money. Here you learn the markets in which companies go to raise money from. Here you learn about fixed income as a specific component of securities that is impacted heavily by interest rates. Here you learn about financial instruments that can be bought and sold and valued in order to control your risk in a financial environment. Here you learn about all the different types of investments which do not belong in traditional investment: gold, copper, commodities, Bitcoin, real estate, infrastructure. Finally, here portfolio management, you learn about how to put it all together. All these things you've been learning, they belong in a portfolio. You don't, if you go pick one stock, it does well, you do well, you're not an investor, you're a speculator. An investor takes a long-term perspective, can pick a number of stocks, one because of their reputation for excellent returns, but also for their reputation for negative correlation, to diversify risk in the portfolio, put that in the portfolio, monitor the portfolio, and deliver returns from that portfolio. So that's literally what you'll be doing here in this final area, which is the final part. So look, that is what CFA is all about. I mean, if by now, if you were asking the question, CFA, what I want to do, I really hope my explanation should give you a sense. I think this is what I want to do, or I don't think this is what I want to do. Okay, so that's the basic idea. Now, for those who be worried about the exam, let me now speak to exams, how things work. So if you're sold, you want to do this qualification that we're very passionate about, okay, please know the following. Here are the 10 areas we just talked about. All these 10 areas, they're examined in all these 3 levels, okay? So you want to become a CFA charter holder, okay? What do they do? Ultimately, when you've learned all these 10 things, it just teaches you 2 things, or 1 thing: how to make long, short, hold investment decisions. So in other words, it teaches you, if you want to be an investor, you can't be an investor unless you can buy, unless you can sell something, unless you can decide to hold something. Knowing when to buy and how much to buy is a key part of your success. Knowing when to sell and how much to sell is a key part. Knowing when to hold and for how long to hold is a key part of your success. So all these things you are learning, it just, that area I talked about, analysis, your analysis, you use all this to analyze relationship, buy, or it says sell, or it says hold. So everything you are learning is to teach you how to decide for yourself or for your clients whether they must go long, meaning they must buy a certain security, whether they must go short, meaning they must sell, or whether they must keep holding a particular security. That's the 3 things you are learning. That's all. Okay? Now, obviously, those 3 decisions is what we call investment decisions. And now, when you make investment decisions, there are 2 things that you are going after. You're going after returns, but returns create risks. You're not going after risks, you're going after returns. But you cannot go after returns without opening your client or your capital to risk. So, all these long, short hold is to generate return, but the return cannot come without risk. So, everything we're studying is how to understand what will happen to return and how to understand what will happen to risk, both at the level of the individual security and at the level of when you put that in a portfolio. There are some securities that, as an individual security, the risk and return profile looks good. When you put it in a portfolio, the way it correlates with other investments in the portfolio, it really damages your portfolio. So, as a charter holder, all those 10 areas, like we said, okay, is just teaching you when should I long, when should I short, when should I hold, by looking at what is the return, what is the risk. That's it. Now, how do we go about that? CFA says to teach you how to do this single thing. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to structure our exams in 3 levels. There's going to be level 1, level 2, level 3, which I talked about. Okay. The question that arises is, but we are studying the same thing, as we said. We're studying the same. We just said here. It's the same thing we are studying. Okay? So what is different? It's the same content, but CFA is making it more and more complex. Okay? You could call it 1 introduction to finance. You could call level 2 intermediate finance. You could call level 3 advanced finance. It's a question of how you want to look at it. Here's what CFA tries to do. It says, okay, when we cover those 10 things in level 1, what we are focused is we're trying to introduce knowledge and understanding of all the tools that you're going to need to analyze return and analyze risk. We just want to teach you the knowledge and understanding. Do you know? Do you understand this? If you see it, can you tell this is what it is? Can you explain it? Can you describe it? Can you illustrate it? So when we get here, we're just teaching you just the tools. Okay. Inside here, there are tools. Inside here, there are tools. Okay. By the time you learn about the 8 ethics standard and the 11 and the 7 professional standard, there are tools there to be used. By the time you learn standard deviation and hypothesis testing, there are tools to be used. By the time you learn interest rate and exchange rate and Fisher equation, there are tools to be used. By the time you learn about ratio analysis and impairments, US GAAP versus that, there are tools. Cost of capital, there are tools to be used. So inside here, there are various tools they're going to use to solve different types of investment problems. So all we are doing here is to say, okay, you can't be a carpenter without a hammer. So let's start with the tools. Or you can't be a doctor without, or a surgeon without a blade or whatever. So to tear your patient, So we're going to spend level 1 and just give you the tools. Okay? Here's a nail, here's a hammer, here's a saw, here are the tools that you need to carry out the work that we're supposed to do as analysts. So that's what we're doing here. Okay? I'm sure you've heard about what is called LOS, Learning Outcome Statement. The Learning Outcome Statement is the smallest division of a learning objective that must be achieved in order to demonstrate that you've met the competencies of that particular area. Now, so CFA breaks these 10 areas into almost 560 learning outcome statements. Okay, some of them probably find about 12 learning outcome statements here, around 42 here, about 80 here, about 110 here. There are different learning outcome statements here. So what we do is we teach you these 560 learning outcome statements in these 10 areas. Okay, teach you what they mean, how they should be understood, and how to answer, how to prove that you have achieved the learning outcome. Now, obviously, you pass this, you go to this level. Okay. Now, this level has 465 learning outcome statements. The learning outcome is getting fewer and fewer. Okay, but it's getting more and more complex. Here, CFA say, okay, you have the tools, but can you apply the tools? If we say this is a tool you need to value a company, okay, now do the valuation. If the tool you to tell whether you should buy or sell, okay, now decide whether you should buy or sell. So here, it's about you cannot do an investment. One thing which is at the center of all this, value. Whether you're going to buy or sell depends on the value. Whether you're going to sell depends on the value. Whether you're going to hold depends on the value. So the whole of level 2 is about valuation. How do you value things? How do you know that this value is fair value, is market value? You know, how do with book value? What are the differences between these different values? How do you value derivatives? How do you value interest rates? How do you value bonds? How do you value equity? Value. So you have the tools. You can't use the tools unless you can value things. So we spend our whole time in level 2, valuation. Here's the value of this. This is how we're going to value. You can value this like this. You can value this like this. But the different values do not speak. This is the lower end of the value. This is the higher end of the value. So that when you go into a transaction, okay, if your company is acquiring another company, your business acquiring another business, a real estate business, at some point, when you are in the mainstream of what CFAs do, at some point you'll be on the buy side, and that person will be on the sell side. At some point you'll be on the sell side, and that person will be on the buy side. And when you're all negotiating something to sell or buy, you'll be arguing around the value. Value. Okay. So if you know all the techniques to value something, if the seller tells you, I can only sell it for this much, you can ask the seller, but why this much? If he tells you 10 million for this much, you can challenge his method because you understand the methods of valuation. Okay, you can say, no, but this method is not workable at all. So that is the idea. Now, finally, when you come here, we then say, okay, Now you know the tools. Now you know how to value things. Okay, go and buy it now. Because if you value it is undervalued, you must buy it and put it in your portfolio. If you value it is overvalued, you must sell it to realize the benefit in your portfolio. Okay? If it is neither overvalued nor undervalued, you must hold it. So here at this level, we are just saying, okay, go buy it to make the portfolio, sell it from the portfolio and optimize the portfolio. Okay, now, so exams. If you choose to do CFA, you will study this and then you write exams. Okay, level 1, there are 4 exams a year. There is February, there is May, there is August, there is November. Okay, right now our classes for August exams already started. Okay, we need almost like 6 to 7 months of ongoing classes and support to be able to write any of these levels. So right now, those who are writing August exams, they started already in January. Our classes are going on. This open day we are having is for people who want to write in November. If you want to write in November, those classes are the ones starting sometime, I think it's in May or so. Yes, in May. So you start in May to write in November. So your next opportunity to write CFA exams, if you want to write, is to write November exams. But in any event, there are 4 exam cycles a year: February, May, August, and November. If you study, you can write November, then you can write in February next year. Okay, so it's a simple 2 hours, 15 minutes exam. Okay? You're answering 90 multiple choice questions. Exams are all multiple choice in level 1. Okay? Choose the right answer, A or B, which one is correct. Okay, people think that it's easy, it's not so easy. You only know when you come on the course because there are no multiple choice. They put 3 answers, you just pick one, then you move on and all the rest. Don't make that mistake. It's hectic stuff. Okay, but it's 90 multiple choice. Okay, so we teach you. We always when we teach you, we start showing you how to pick the right answers and all the rest. Now, so by the time you face the exam, we would have taught you how to answer. 2.5 hour exams and all the rest. But ultimately, come November, you're writing, 90 questions in the morning, 90 questions in the afternoon. So in total, it's 180 questions. So each one, morning paper is 2 hours, 15 minutes. Afternoon paper is so you go there the whole day. It's computer-based exam. Sit there in the morning from 9, by 11:15 you're done. You come out, take a break. 1 hour after you come back, you start afternoon paper. You're done. Then you give CFA sometimes about 6 weeks, and the rest results comes out. It tells you whether you've passed or you've not passed. So that's the story there. Level 2, more or less same thing. So if you finish this level, some of you have been asking, can I start level 1, level 2? It depends on the cycle. Level 2 exams they happen 3 times a year. This happens 4 times a year, 3 times a year. Level 3 exam happen in February, in May, or in November. Okay. So, for instance, if you are starting the course now, you can only write in November. Now, if you write in November, there is no way, unless you do self-study, which is not going to be easy. But if you write in November, you probably get your results late. It's usually early January. If you write this November, you probably get it early January. If you don't make it, okay, CFA does not allow you to. If you fail in November, you can't immediately rewrite in February. You must skip. So although it looks like you have 4 exams, you only have 2. If you fail one, you must skip one before you write the other. So let's say you write it in November, you fail. Then February you can't write. You can write again in May the following year. But let's say you pass. Okay, if you pass this, obviously it's the end of the year. You will move on to level 2. But level 2, there's no way you'll be able to prepare from November to February the following year. You can't prepare level 2 in 2 months. Okay, the earliest you can write level 2 will be May. The following May. But even so, May is, if you take the fact that you write this in November, okay, you only know that you have passed in January. Usually it's hard to start studying the next level. I'm not saying it's impossible until you know you've passed. You only know you've passed in January, and then you're left from January to May. You take 5 months, especially this level 2, to take 5 months and say I can get everything ready and write. It's not going to be easy. So really, the point I'm making is, if you start now, okay, you write this year in November, then you probably will only safely write level 2 in November November next year. That could then allow you, level 3 happens twice a year, in May and in August. Again, if you write level 2 in November, it is hard to be ready by May. So you'll be looking at, in August the following year. So that's almost like what we're talking about. It can almost take you 18 months. From here to November, this November to this November, and won't be like in August next. That assumes that you're passing everything first time. This exam is also similar to this, multiple choice as well. Okay. The difference here is that here you have 44 multiple choice in the morning, 44 in the afternoon. Here you have 90 in the morning, 90 in the afternoon. But the weight is the same. Here it's just, they give you brief, one sentence, 3 answers you choose. Here they give you whole scenarios, not just one sentence. So you have to spend more time reading the case study to be able to digest, but it remains multiple choice. Okay, you go to level 3. Now level 3 is a bit of the afternoon paper is multiple choice, 44 multiple choice questions, but the morning paper is what is called constructed response. You literally have to read the scenario and then type in an answer, brief answer. I recommend you sell the share. Sell the share because of 1, 2, 3. The share price has dropped. Because the share price dropped, this has happened. You need to have to explain yourself. Okay, that's what you call constructed response. So, I do hope that that gives you a sense how the exams are structured going forward. Okay, now let me now quickly revisit. My colleague was going to be presenting, but she's not feeling well, so I'm going to assist her with her part. Okay, let me just recap on the questions that some of you asked before we started to make sure we answer them. Then after, I'm going to talk about our timetables and how things work. The first question was, I would really appreciate some career advice. I have been contemplating the CFA, but I'm not entirely sure that it is suitable for the type of career I'm anticipating. Like I said in the beginning, if you're the one who asked this question, please, you can post. My moderators are monitoring, or you can post. If you don't ask this question, tell us what is your career goal. What are you trying to do? Your question is a bit incomplete. So I can't answer whether CFA is good for your career because I don't know what you want to do with your career. But my hope is that the explanation I've provided about CFA gives you a sense already whether it is good or not. If not, please post on the forum. My guys are monitoring. They will tell me the question has come through. I'll pick it up. I'll be able to reply to that. The next one is, what is the cost of the program? Okay. Let's put it in the cost of the CFA program. Let's say it can cost you somewhere around 120,000 combined. Okay, but let me explain myself. There are two types of costs you are looking at. There is the cost that you pay to CFA for registering to become a CFA candidate, to register the CFA exams for each and every one of the levels. Okay. Now, as a ballpark figure, you're looking at almost like $3,500 to $4,000 for all the levels. Because when you start, you have to pay CFA registration, which is about $450. Every exam itself is about $1,000, depending on whether you register early or you register late. Every exam itself is about $1,000. So the 3 exams, level 1, level 2, level 3, cost you about $3,300. So work around $4,000. Okay, so you might be saying, okay, let's say 60,000 francs CFA at today's exchange rate. We don't know what will happen by the time you finish. So let's say that's one component of the cost is the part that you pay CFA. So if this cost is too sensitive, that's probably your cost ends there. But if you're going to attend classes, what we do is we provide tuition for those who want to go and write the exams. That is where the other part of the course will come. Okay. So for instance, if you want to enroll with us for level 1, a full package, okay, which gives you all the study materials, all the course notes, all the practice questions, and all the rest, can come to around 20,000. I think on our website it's about 20,000 something. So if you take, so if you round it to 20,000, say 20,000 per level times, 3 levels. That is, 60,000. And then so 60,000 that you pay chapter course over the next 18 months to give you the teaching material, the tuition, the support, and everything. And another 60,000 you're paying CFA for the 3 levels. That is where I'm talking about 120,000 over the period. Okay, That shouldn't scare you. Obviously, you can see it's a question of your pace. If you're going to do it in 3 years, then that probably comes to 40,000 per year. Okay, I know it's a lot, but this is a world-class qualification. So it's not going to be easy. There are some candidates who, when you enroll with CFA, you get CFA materials. So it's not that you have to take up our material. Study by yourself to keep the cost as low as you can. So if you don't ask this question, I hope that answers you. So in summary, 120,000 split between the school and the CFA. If you cannot afford the school, you can pay about 60,000 to CFA. 20,000 per year. Work around that for your exams and everything, and as it will. I mean, if you're going to compare that with other qualifications like MBA and the others, MBAs are going for 1,000 and all the rest. So it looks like it's still fair. Okay, I'm an economics graduate and I'm stressed about registering for this journey. I'm currently enrolled for my honors in economics. I would like to know whether it would be wise to register whilst I'm completing the honors degree or try next year. If you ask this question, my honest answer is please finish your honors first. Just finish your honors first. Please don't. You can combine honors and another short course or something, but not honors and CFA. CFA itself, so I wouldn't, if I had my son or my daughter trying to do honors, trying to do CFA, I would tell myself, listen, finish your honors, come back and do CFA. So I would say don't combine it. Okay. Now, the exceptions. If you, I don't know your circumstances. Let's say you're a full-time student, you have no responsibilities, you don't have to clean your father's car, you don't have to, you don't have a girlfriend that's going to be asking for your time or a boyfriend that's going to, you want to dedicate yourself to studies. That's the kind of individual who can do this, finish the honors and the CFA, running the two concurrently. You have to be an individual who doesn't have boyfriends, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't have, your time is, you use every aspect of your time so you can deploy that. There are some benefits. If your honors is in economics, okay, remember we just saw economics is part of the program. There are some overlaps between the two, an honors degree in economics as well as CFA. So there are some benefits in the sense that there are certain things you'll be learning on the CFA, then you can immediately go to your honors. And the same thing you'll be learning on your honors, you can immediately deploy. In fact, you can almost say, because I'm doing an honors degree in economics, just like that, your first degree was also in economics. Then the whole economics aspect and likely quantitative methods, because anybody who is doing economics would probably be very strong with quantitative methods. There are some benefits in the sense that you might find that everything CFA does in quantitative method economics is very easy for you. So you can then collapse that so it doesn't become too much work. But at general level, I would say try not to do the two at the same time. At a specific level, there are synergies between your economics and honors and your CFA because this content, 20% of the content is very much the same, but there's an 80% which is different from that. You can benefit from that content which is the same between the two to lessen the pressure on you. Make sure that your environment is such that you don't have a lot of time busters and factors that keep you away from your focus. If you're that type of person, yes, you can go ahead. If you're not that type of person, please just finish your honors first before you even think about CFA. That's my advice to you. Okay. How often do we attend? I'm going to put up the timetable now. Generally, you attend classes once per week. Okay. We however do what is called catch-up classes because the content is so much. But timetable says once per week, but budget around twice per week. So if you're going to attend classes on Saturday, that's fine, from 8 to 12, 4 hours. Then you know that if we fall behind on one evening in the week, maybe Wednesday we can do a catch-up class. So simple answer is once per week, but some weeks we will do catch-up classes as it were. So I hope that answers the question. I'll put up the timetable, you can see that when I get to that. Okay, difficult subject students should put more effort and attention. So you're trying to know which are the difficult subjects. Now, guys, difficult subject relates to your background. If a guy comes from an accounting background, you'll find financial reporting very easy. Another guy who comes from, because remember, CFA allows anybody from any background, engineers, IT guys, they can come. So difficult subject is relative, okay? If you have an accounting background, you find financial reporting very easy for you. If you don't have an accounting background, you find financial reporting very easy. So the point I'm making is that there is no such thing as more difficult. Yes, there's a consensus that the most difficult aspects of CFA, which is widely shared, is fixed income and derivatives. Because if you're going to do a survey across the world, which are the top two, time and time again, fixed income and derivatives, they come out as the monsters. So if there is any such thing as difficult subjects, it will be those two. But again, a guy who works in a fixed income department in a company, he's not going to find that very, very difficult. So I'm afraid I cannot pinpoint which ones are difficult subjects. If you want to know, then go with fixed income and derivatives. And equally, you're going to find that we spend a lot of time teaching those areas. Do we first make a payment for the next exam date under CFA, and then how does this institution support students to pass the exam? Oh yes, it's easy. The general idea is that by the time you come on to enroll with us, you've made your payment. Just for instance, when we start the course, we are teaching you to write exams in November. So everybody in class is ideally people who have enrolled to write exams in November. Yes, the timetable is structured to prepare for November, but nobody forces you to write in November. You can attend our November course, but you only write your exam in February. It's really up to you. But we structure it such that between when we start and when we end, it is such that those who wanted to write their exams in November, they are adequately prepared. We normally finish 2 weeks before the final exams. So to answer this question, the ideal situation is that before you come on our, you should have already registered with CFA and paid to CFA and told CFA, I want to write exam in November. And then you can enroll with us because we are teaching people who are going to write the exam in November. So that's the answer is yes, you should first pay with CFA. Does that, if you attend the class, there are people who attend the class, but they have not paid. Because CFA opens a window for you to pay almost like 3 months, 6 months. So there's no pressure on you that you must pay before you attend the class. But know that our next class is preparing you for November exam. You can join even if you have not yet paid CFA. You can start the class first week, second week. You can subsequently pay CFA down the line and say, okay, I want to write in November. It's really up to you. I hope that answers your question. Which destination is more in demand on a general level between CFA and CIMA? Why choose the CFA? If you say on the general level, if you had removed the word look, CIMA is more in demand on the general level. CIMA is a much bigger. CFA is a specialist, is a niche qualification. CIMA is a more broader accounting or finance qualification. So generally, you probably find that there will be more CIMA qualified guys in South Africa, maybe even around the world. Not around the world, but generally in South Africa, CIMA is more in demand than CFA. To answer your question, but now remember that it's like comparing. It's not even Mercedes and BMW where you can say they are comparable. Okay, like I don't know. It's like comparing. These are two good qualifications. Okay, what's the best example? It's like mangoes and bananas. You can't really, let's put it. You can't compare mango and banana. These two fruits. Okay. CFA is a specialist qualification, or niche is an investment qualification. It teaches you investment. Okay. CIMA is a management accounting qualification. It teaches management and business strategy. Now, these are two different, though they sound like they are related, of course they are related, but it's focus areas. So a CIMA guy would end up in business as a management accountant, financial controller, a finance manager. A CFA guy will end up as a portfolio manager, a securities analyst, and investment, equities analyst, and those type of things. So I think at the general level, CIMA would always be more, because it's broader, will be more highly in demand than CFA at the general level. But please, that is clearly mangoes and bananas we are comparing. Because if you go into the investment space, nobody wants to hear about CIMA. If you don't have CFA, nobody cares about your CIMA if you get into investment space. CIMA means nothing. Okay. Similarly, if you go into strategy and business, development space, nobody really cares about CFA. That's why I call it mangoes and bananas. You can't really compare the two. They are meant for two different audiences, as it were. Okay. With the first time pass guarantee, have you managed to maintain it consistently with CFA level 1? Yes, we launched it. We launched our CFA program. We've been operating as Chapter Quest for 12 years, but our CFA program is 3 years old. We launched it in 2018. Yes, our first time pass guarantee is a hallmark of what we do across all the programs. When we launched CFA, we immediately imported our first time pass guarantee, which stems from our success in all the other programs we've been running into CFA. We have maintained it since that 2018. So we can confidently say that this first time pass guarantee applies to CFA. It has stood the test of time. Our average pass rate is sit around 68%. Okay. Now, global pass rate for CFA, let's be clear, is about 45%. South Africa pass rate is about 35%. So our pass rate as a school, especially for CFA level 1, is almost three times the South Africa pass rate and almost double the global pass rate. So we sit around 68% as a school. So I hope that answers your question. How will the intake process work if we are registering to write the exam in November? In that case, how will payment plan work? When will the institute go back to face-to-face? Okay, I answered this part. Face-to-face is already running. We went back face-to-face since 2020. In fact, our CFA, all our classes, they are face-to-face and live stream. So we got the flexibility. Those who still feel that they want to come and meet the teacher face-to-face and answer questions, they are actually there in class. Then others, we set up everything so that if you want to dial in from home, okay, we have our interactive boards in all the various classes as we are teaching. We're experiencing the teaching from home, but those who are here with us face-to-face, they can benefit from the face-to-face classes. So both are happening. There's no limitation as to whether you choose face-to-face or interactive live stream. And all our classes, they're not even the face-to-face classes, they are recorded. So as we are teaching, the classes are recorded. Within 2 days of the class, they're uploaded on your student portal. Anything you missed, you can always go and say, is this thing the lecturer explained? Maybe my phone rang, or maybe, I'm not saying you can leave your phone, but maybe you were distracted. You can always go back and replay it. So those who attend live stream, they attend, it is replayed, it is recorded and uploaded for them. Face-to-face people, they can go back and replay, so you don't miss anything. So this issue of face-to-face and live stream does not exist at all. Okay, you can choose, it's really up to you. Okay, how will the intake process work if I register to write exam? Simple, okay? If you register to write the exam in November, which I assume you will just go to the CFA website, you click, you put in your credit card there, you pay to CFA, then you register. Okay, you register, you choose your exam center and all the rest. Or you can register through us at the time of enrolling with us. You can tell us to do your registration for CFA on your app. That is fine. But once you've done that, assuming that you've registered with CFA to write your exam, all you do is, I'm going to show you later, you come to our website, you click, show how to enroll, you enroll, we'll pick it up to say, okay, Tebogo has registered to do CFA, he wants to write in November, we send your materials, you come into class, that's it. There's no, too much complication in the process. So, okay, guys, I hope this answers all these questions. Please post follow-up questions if something that I have not answered. When the questions which were designed for my colleague, patients who cannot be with us today, they are the following. Sorry. So this one. No. Not this one. You see, I saw they look like the questions from the last semester. I'll read it. Oh, they're the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm done with questions.
Yes, you're done with questions.
Okay.
But you wanted to go to timetable.
Yes, go to timetable. Okay, guys, we're done now with questions. If there are follow-up questions, you can pose them. I just want to take you through the timetable so you know what's that, you know how things. I know that we've taken long. We should up in 15 minutes or 10 minutes. We should be wrapping up. Let me point to you. Okay, first go to our website. Yes, so I can. Okay, if you want to know, if you want to enroll, you go into our website, guys. If you live here, you subsequently decide to enroll. We're gonna use our website now to illustrate what are your next steps. Okay, just don't move on. Okay, so this is the button you're gonna click if you want to enroll. I hope you can see my button. Remember, they need to see what they need to see.
Oh, no, it's not a PDF that they want.
Or they won't be able to see. But how do I make sure they see?
They can see that we're pressing.
Okay, so, okay, good. So this is the thing that where you say free quotes on the top right-hand corner of our, but go to timetable. So, okay, click here, timetable. You can see here, timetables. Okay, you want to know how CFA is going to work. You go to our website, under qualification, you click CFA. Oops, it's big CFA. You click CFA. Under level, you click level 1. Under campus, you click Rivonia campus or e-campus. If you're going to be doing online, it's same thing. Second semester, because first semester is already running. Tuition package, subjects, full course. Okay, good. You do that. You say search. Okay, so this you can always go back to. Here's your timetable. Okay, here's what you need to know. As you can see here, the subject says shift there so that the others can. The subject says CFA level, going to be happening in Rivonia campus. That's if you're doing face-to-face, you're going to come to our Santin campus where we are now. If you're doing a live stream from home, you don't need to physically come here. You will have selected e-campus. We'll send you the link. You can log in directly and participate with the class. And then classes are going to be running every Saturday. You can see here from 11:15 to 14:15. So it's going to be approximately 3 hours. Okay. Here's the date. You can see here the first date of classes is 7th of May. So on the 7th of May, our second semester is starting. You still have almost like 2 months to prepare yourself. You know, tell your family, I'll be studying, because it's hectic. So you want them to understand you'll be starting. So 7th of May, we are starting with the second semester for those of you writing in November. Those who are writing in August, we are already started in January. So you can clearly see every week, this is Saturday, this time. Once you do Saturday this time, it means every Saturday this time, it stays the same thing. Again here, as you can see. So every Saturday, you can see on the 7th, on the 14th, on the 21st, okay? Those are all the classes. Now, this is our standard timetable. If we find we are falling behind, we might add 1 or 2 more classes. Oops, is it gone up? Sorry, our apologies. We might add 1 or 2 more classes. Okay, where you see red there, okay, they are tests. Red means danger. Test. So our work is structured into books. Those 10 syllabus areas is structured into book 1, book 2, book 3, up to book. So we'll do these 3 days. On these first 3 sessions, we cover 1 book. That may cover the whole quantitative method and ethics. They write a test. The test opens on this date, it closes on this date. Then we continue from here. We move here, we write a test. So everything that you have read there are pause breaks between 1 book to the other. So we structure the course, the 10 topics around 4-6 different books. So after each book, we write a test. After each book, we write a test. We are looking to finish this on the 5th of November. As you are aware, CFA exams start around the 16th. So after we finish on the 5th, 10 days after, you're writing CFA exam. So that is it on your timetable. Open the section for fees. So for those of you who are wondering about the fees, how the fees like, you go to CFA. You have study options, and these are fees and study options. Let's just explain how things work. Okay, so here are the fees, okay? We said we have 3 packages. We have what is called our TEP package, which is our main package. It's called TEP, means tuition and exam preparation package. It simply means that we give you all the tuition as well. That's our standard premium package. Especially when we talk about first time pass guarantee, we're referring to this package. That's the package which cost about 19,000 per level. So every level is 19,000. There are some promos there. Somebody had asked, how do I pay? Okay. You pay 20% when you enroll for the course. At the time you enroll, you pay 20%. The balance 80% you can structure to pay that over 6 months, up to 6 months, up to you. You have to sign a debit order process online with us. If you're going to pay it over 2 months, there's no interest. If you're going to pay it beyond 2 months, there might be a little bit of interest. But that is the whole how things are structured. There's a promo going on now, which is 17,500. You know, if you are, there are certain requirements there for you to meet to benefit from that promo. But here's our 3 main packages. Okay, there is step evenings or weekends here. Okay, there is EBOB. EBOB means exam preparation. So this for those who only come for exam, only come for revision. In fact, I've gone through the timetable and not show you where revision start and where tuition starts. But the full timetable I showed you, this is what you are benefiting. All those Saturdays is what we call 18 to 20 contact sessions, 8 to 9 revision classes, and here are all the benefits, study notes, everything. Okay, your test bank, these are all the things that is going to come with. So it's not like you're saying, if I pay this 19, do I still have to buy some books? No, you don't need to buy some books. We give you all the material. So everything is well documented here so you know the benefits. If you're only taking the revision package, okay, the price is almost half the full tuition, which is this one. You can almost compare to see what the revision package has. Oops. You can almost compare what we have on this package versus this package to see what the revision package has. Okay, but basically with revision, you're only coming for the revision session. Exam practice, we only give you revision banks, not the course notes and all the rest, because course notes is only available for those who this particular package. Okay, then we have this last one, which I will call, scroll it down a bit. There's the last package here, which is 13,000. That package is called what? Live stream plus ebooks. Okay, this is our e-campus package. This you don't need to come to class. It's all, you don't even need to participate. It's all pre-recorded. We've recorded videos for all the lectures and everything. We load that on the portal, and then you have the opportunity to go in and access the portal. We load it every week. We load new information. You almost teach yourself, but we've recorded the teaching and everything, so you can go there and download the video, listen to your own notes, and all the rest. That's the cheapest of our packages. So it's got a lot of detail in terms of what each package contains, what the other one does not contain. So that's the basic idea. I must point out that if you took, for instance, this EBOB package, this EBOB package, if you took this one, which is revision, you're only joining during the revision phase, so you can go back again to that time, our timetable. So for instance, okay, if you took that package, where is the word? Yeah, exam preparation. You will notice here, we do everything to week 22. Okay, then after we start calling it pre-mock, exam preparation. You see here, it says this is where the EBOB starts. In fact, EBOB starts here, week 22. So those who took the first package for 19,000 something, they are paying everything to here, to the end. Those who take EPOB, okay, they are only starting from here. You are starting when we enter the revision phase. So for that 11,000, you're paying to participate in this mock. You're paying for this exam preparation. You're paying for this mock. You're paying for this exam preparation. Whereas those who took the full package, they're paying for everything from the beginning to the end. That explains why there's a slight difference in the prices. So before you start deciding, okay, so that full one is this one, the first one here. You can see it has every single benefit all the way to the end. The one I just explained now is this one. It only has your practice tools and your revision. So I think that that should address everything I wanted to address. Maybe I'm going to pause now, guys. We've come to the end of our open day. I hope you found it useful. I just want to open it now to see if there are any questions. All the questions that you sent before now, we have answered them, guys. If there's anything that you want to do, follow, post it now on the forum so we can take questions and then we can wrap up for the day. Okay, now over to my moderators. Are there any questions that are waiting me to answer? You have a question?
I do actually.
Okay, guys, we'll come to your question. I'll take a question on face-to-face, then I come on Your name?
Good evening, Mr. T. Can you hear me?
Gwen. Gwen, G-W-E-N. Oh, Gwen. Okay, ask them to wait. Okay, online people, please wait. Gwen is here, right here with us face to face. She wants to ask a question. I'm going to repeat her question so if you're online, you can hear her question. Then I'm going to answer. Yes, Gwen.
So I saw on the test days, do we still have classes on that day, or is it just tests specifically on that day?
No. We have a test week.
Okay.
It's really a test week. If you see the red, each time you saw the red, open that red, or you've closed it. No. Okay. The simple answer is that no. We have a test week, we tell you okay. When we finish class 3, the test is computer based. You can do it from home.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to come here to register because the actual sitting exam. Guys, the question when it's asked, do the test here's how things work. You see here, see for instance, it says 21st here.
Yes.
Okay, and then it says 27th here. So there are 2 cells. So we finish this class 21st. Okay, then we open the test. On your portal, we tell you your test is now open. You need to find 2 hours any time of the time that week.
Okay.
To go and so the answer is yes. While we are writing the test, classes are going. But the difference is that the test you have a whole week. You need to say the test. If the test is 2 hours, we'll open it for a whole week. You need to find any 2 hours of your schedule from home. Okay. Go in, it's all computer based. Once you open, you want to write the test, the clock will start. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So you can say, okay, the test opens on Monday, it closes. I'll make time on Sunday to write my test. But on Saturday, you're coming to class. Are you with me? If you feel that you want to write your test before you come to class, you can write your test once it's open, 5 days before. It's really up to you. Does that answer you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, next question. Thanks, Gwen. Next question. Guys, another question.
Yes, there are questions. Hello, Mr. T.
Hello, hi, is that Mary?
Yes, it's Mary.
Hi, Mary. Who is asking? Give the name of the person asking and what the question is.
We have Tapua Masango. His question is, yes. His question is, when I pass CFA level 3, under which South African board should I register, which is recognized by SAQA? What is the NQF level of CFA designation?
Okay, let's go step by step. I heard the last part. What is the NQF level of CFA designation? I didn't hear the first part. What was the first part again?
Okay, the first part is when I pass CFA level 3, under which South African board should I register, which is recognized by SAQA?
Oh, if I pass CFA level 3, under which South African board professional or board do I register, which is recognized by SAQA? And the next question, what is the NQF level of CFA? Okay, let me give you a very, very clear answer. The answer is there is no local board that SAQA recommends. Let's put it this way. CFA has not made any attempt to be registered in South Africa as a South African qualification. So the way things work is, if you are an international body, you want your qualification to be registered as well in South Africa, you have to approach SAQA and meet SAQA's local requirements for registering your professional body as well as your qualification, and you have to align your qualification to the national qualification framework in South Africa. CFA has not done that. They've not done that in any country in the world. CFA has taken a view that, look, we are a global qualification. There's one global set of benchmarks for investors around the world. We cannot tailor the qualification to meet any particular country, because if we were to do that, it now means that if we're in Nigeria, we must tailor it to meet standards in Nigeria. If we're in South Africa, we must tailor it for South Africa. If we're in Singapore, we must tailor it to meet standards in Singapore. So the simple answer is, if you pass CFA level 3, there is no professional body recognized by SAQA that you will be registered with in South Africa. You will be registered with CFA as a global professional body that is well respected by the capital market globally in every single country. If for you it was crucial that you get a qualification that is specifically registered with the board that is registered with SAQA, then CFA, you should not do CFA. At this time, they are not. Then you should either do CASA, or you do CIMA, or you do ACCA. These are qualifications that are registered locally in South Africa. CFA is not. It remains an international qualification. Similarly, CFA is not aligned to the national qualification at all. They have not made any effort to align it. So if you go to the SAQA website now, you will not find any qualification called CFA. Let's get that very clear. You will get CASA, you will get CIMA, and the rest, but you will not find any qualification called CFA. Now, what you need to understand is there are two types of recognition. There is what is called legal recognition. There is what is called market recognition. Okay? What is the difference? You have some qualifications that the markets know. Okay? Anybody in the investment field, the markets know that anybody with this qualification, world class, those markets, they don't wait. If the law does not recognize it, it's none of their business. I mean, investors know that the global qualification for investment is CFA. They know that mark. So the regulators know that. Sorry, not regulators. Investors know that. The global corporate governance community knows that. So what CFA enjoys is market recognition. And with market recognition, they've been able to run the qualification successfully for multiple years. And I think that, this is now my opinion, I think that the very robust market recognition they have has given them powers to not be going from one country to the other asking for legal recognition, because the market already know it. So register with SAQA then would have given them legal recognition as well. Okay, but CFA does not. It seems they don't believe legal recognition is necessary if markets recognize them. I mean, there are a lot of companies are hiring CFAs here, knowing fully well that SAQA does not recognize. But who cares? These companies are international companies. They know the quality of CFA, and they know in the market that is the benchmark for excellence. You finish level 3, they are very happy to get you. They don't go and check whether you CFA register with SAQA and rest. So this is not the space where CFA operates. It's not registered with SAQA. It doesn't intend to register with SAQA. It's not aligned to the national qualification framework. They are not even pretending to align it. They don't even seem to want the legal recognition. The market recognition they enjoy is global best practice there. It's excellent for them. And why would they have to then subject themselves to that legal process? So I hope that answers your question about the body you might register with. There's a local CFA society though. CFA organizes itself in terms of CFA societies. There is a local chapter. So if you pass level 3, you belong to CFA globally, but you belong to the local chapter. The local chapter runs, seminars, continuous professional development on investment-related ideas that affect South Africa, for instance. You are part of that community. It's a whole organization. You've got offices and all the rest. But that's an affiliate of the global body to help represent the local interests of CFA practitioners. So what are the emerging issues in investment and how they relate to South Africa? But that local affiliation itself is not even attempting to get legal recognition. It's got nothing to do with SAQA. It is just doing its things for its members and make sure that they keep in contact with the global tradition, the global practice of CFA chapter holders. So, okay, that's my answer. Any other question?
Yes, there are some questions. The second question is from Ayanda. Why are you guys not listed under CFA South Africa approved prep provider?
Why are you guys not registered under?
CFA South Africa approved prep provider.
Oh, good question. Why are we not registered? Like I mentioned, we started Charter Quest in 2010. Our CFA program only started in 2018. So we're just 3 years old since we launched our CFA program. And in fact, in 2020, we did our application to be registered on the approved provider process. But here's what you need to know. CFA is phasing out that process. We got correspondence for CFA that we're phasing out that process from 2023. In fact, since 2020, they stopped receiving new applications. They are rearranging how they're going to do the accreditation program. It is no longer going to be done through an approved provider program for the country locally. It's going to be done internationally. So they are busy phasing out the current process. So once we started in 2018, we applied in 2020, 2 years after, because when you start, you must produce a number of students for about 1 or 2 years. You submit your credentials, the qualifications of your lectures, and all the rest. CFA evaluates that. By the time we could send it in, they were carrying out the process. So it's been 2 years. No new applications for approved provider programs have been accepted by the CFA. And this is the last year, this 2022. In fact, we've just gone through seminars now with CFA in the UK on what the new process that they want to launch from 2023 and why they can't everything for the last 2 years. So we've finalized that process, we've submitted everything in 2023. Everybody now, even the ones that you find on the approved provider list in South Africa, they will no longer be there. They will all fall under a new regime. So it's a primary issue which has delayed our ability to be registered on the local one. But in any event, in 2023, everybody will be running it under a totally different system. So I hope that answers your question. You can always do a follow-up question. Yes, next question.
Next question is from Avila. Are CFAs in demand in South Africa in 2022, or does supply exceed demand? And if it does, what would be the point of studying it instead of branching off into something else like chartered accountancy?
Are CFAs in demand in South Africa?
In 2022.
Or does the supply exceed demand? If the supply exceeds demand, what is the point of studying CFA instead of branching off into a program such as chartered accountancy?
Correct.
Yes, I get the question. Let me put it this way. We are Charter Quest. We are a school. Okay? Being a school, we're passionate about teaching, but we're in business. We don't teach what is not in demand because it will show in our numbers. There will be no students. It will not be viable. Okay? So as a school, we will only teach what is in demand. And the mere fact that we are running open days and we are teaching CFA, and I just explained the last question that CFA is wrapping up their approved provider program. They are launching one for 2020, and we have just been part of that process. It should tell you that why are these guys actively trying to be part of the new approved provider program for CFA? Why are they continuing to teach CFA? It's because they know we're a business first and foremost. Okay, we will only be doing it if there's a demand. So there should be no ambiguity in your mind as to whether CFA demand exceeds supply. To answer your question, demand exceeds supply. If supply exceeded demand, you need to go any week they're writing CFA. It's only now they're doing computer-based exams, so they can't limit the number of people because of COVID and all the rest. Just before COVID, okay, now you used to write CFA exam in 1 day. You can go to the exam. Okay, just in Joburg, 2,000 students. 2,000. Just trying to write CFA level 1. In the afternoon, another 2,000. So just in Joburg, over 6,000 people trying to write CFA exams in 1 day. Now it doesn't look that much. You know why? Because CFA has moved to computer-based exams. So exams are not written all in one day where you can see all the numbers. They are written in a week. So some people can write on Monday, but even if you go on a Monday, you will see the number of people going into the exam hall to go and write. Then you will know that demand exceeds supply. So please don't even ask the question whether demand exceeds supply or not. Demand exceeds supply by a long stretch. That is the reason why we run CFA, because we know that the demand is there. And we know that we see employers who are always contacting us, asking, do you have people who have finished CFA? Do you have people who have finished level 1 or level 2? Employers are always asking us, do you have students who are doing CFA, they finish 1 or 2 levels? Can you talk to them, send us your CV? We know that the demand is there. So I don't think so. The question is whether you want to branch off into chartered accounting or it shouldn't be based both. There's a demand for both. That's why we call chartered all the chartered qualifications. There is demand in all of them. So I don't think if you are leaving CFA to chartered accountancy or chartered accountancy CFA, it should be based on which one has demand or not. Both have robust demand. Okay, it's a question of where do you want to go with your career, which one best positions you. That is really your choice, not which one has more demand. They all have demand, big time. Okay, next question.
All right. The next question comes from Loazing. What causes students to fail? What is the best studying or prep method?
What causes students to fail, and what is the best prep method? If I could answer that question in simple terms, then we wouldn't exist as a school, isn't it? Because our job is to make you pass. If I could sit in an open day and say, here's what causes students to fail, here's the best problem, and you get that fully, then you won't come to our course. I mean, let's face it. But I'll try to answer it in the following manner. I've been teaching this thing for years, and I think the reason why students fail is the fact that if you look at, let's take for instance the pass rate for CFA in South Africa is 35%. Okay, you go to India, about 60%. You go to China, about 65%. You go to US, about 70%. Okay, even Nigeria here, the pass rate for CFA is even better than South Africa. So yet when I think what causes students to fail, we're a South African school, so vast majority of they are South African, they study here. I believe that the problem starts from the system of education. CFA is a very applied type of qualification. It's a professional exam, it's very applied. So if you have gone to school, gone to university, and you've not been used to studying critically, not only memorizing your book and regurgitating the information, but really understanding how things work in practice, how information is applied and synthesized, and then you meet CFA for the first time. A lot of people, it's like a culture shock. It sounds like multiple choice, but it's very easy. But every detail, you cannot memorize anything. It's almost, if you are used to a system of education where you can read the day before the exam, you go write the exam, you pass, it's not going to work. So I think that one of the reasons why pass rates are very low in South Africa, it seems to me from my experience, and I tell that to my students from the very first class. And a lot of people who get it when I explain, they eventually pass very easily. It seems to me that there is a culture of how to get someone who has never studied a professional exam. Okay, he's got a first degree, yes, but you find that the first degree, a degree is very theoretical. Okay, CFA is a very practical qualification. Okay, how to get this person to understand your way of absorbing information, your way of synthesizing information should be done differently. I think that seems to be a big challenge here in South Africa, which we are battling with every single day. In fact, we've achieved a lot of success because out of that, our pass rate is about 68%, which is 2 times or 3 times the South African average. And then the other thing too is, apart from that, there's a difference between what you know and what you can do. Okay, a lot of CFA exams are about what you can do. Now, people tend to come to class, for instance, students will come to class, they'll attend lectures, they understand everything. And then they think that they can come and write a test without practicing questions. There's no way. I can teach you a concept. You understand me very well. Until you go back and practice 15 questions on that concept on your own. If they ask you that same thing that you understood in class, in the exam, without you having practiced multiple questions on that same, there's no way you can pass. So we teach the course very application focused, very exam focused. We put a lot of practice there, but we ask you to go and practice more questions on your own. A lot of students we find, they just think that attending classes and the few practice in class is good enough. For every 1 hour you spend with the school, you need to put 4 hours of your own. So not to learn new things, to learn what you already got from the school, but you consolidate that. Students don't do that. Okay, they come to class, well explained, 1 hour, they get it, they feel that's enough. They don't go and put the extra 4 hours. If they put hours, it's probably 30 minutes. Then you think that you can pass the exam. No. So the hours must be put in there. You must practice lots and lots of exam questions, under time conditions, and all the rest. So I think if you do that, a lot of people are not passing. That is where the challenge actually is. Yes. Next question.
Santi,
Yes.
the next question is from Alphonse. He says, does one has to have a passport to register for CFA exam?
Yes, it is a CFA requirement that all CFA candidates must have a passport. So you must have a valid passport to register for the CFA. If you don't have one, you have to apply for one first, otherwise CFA will not accept your candidature.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So the next one is from Lwazi. What's
Lwazi.
the difference between, yes, Lwazi. What's the difference between pre-mock, exam prep 1, final mock, or exam prep 2?
What's the difference between pre-mock? Pre-mock what?
Yes, what's the difference between pre-mock, exam prep 1, final mock, and exam prep 2?
Okay, you ask a good question. Please don't get lost in those terms. It's just our way of saying you will write a number of tests. We could call it test 1, test. Okay, it's just a way of characterizing. When we say pre-mock, we're saying there must be a mock exam that you must write before you face the final exam. We used to have just mock. Then after we realized that we are picking up problems in the mock when it's too late. So we introduced pre-mock to say, let's have a mock before a mock, where if we find our students have problems, we can pick it up in the pre-mock, fix it before they do the final mock. Okay, so those are just names we've given to show at what level we are with the teaching intervention. Pre-mock simply means the mock that you will do before you face our final mock. And then obviously the final mock, then you're going to have exam prep 1, exam prep 2, exam prep 3. These are just names for the classes because we have a number of exam preparation class. So if we say exam prep 1, it means we're saying our first exam preparation class. Exam prep 2, it means our second exam preparation class. Okay? Pre-mock means our mock before the final mock. And it's great. But Lwazi, don't get lost with all those terms. They are just names. We could have called it class 1, class 2, class 3, test 1, test 2, test 3. So maybe the question tells us we can rethink how we name it. But please don't worry about the level of difficulty between pre-mock and mock. Don't think that pre-mock is going to be easier. The standard of all the tests, from test 1 to pre-mock to final mock, they are all exam standard. The test they just show, because test 1 only covers book 1, test 2 covers book 1 and 2, test 3 covers book 1, 2, and 3. They are all exam standard tests. They are just designed to cover different elements as we progress. Similarly, pre-mock is the same standard as final mock, but it just helps us pick up problems way before you write your final mock, because after you write your final, we typically have with 10 days before the exam. We don't want to be releasing you 10 days before the exam when we are not satisfied that you look like somebody who can be able to face the exam and do well. But again, don't get lost with those things. Okay, next question.
Hello, Mr. Chu. The next question is from Mosa Wilson. Is possible if we can get the materials
The
for the
quality is
second
bad. I'm struggling.
Is it possible if we can get the material for the second semester start?
Can you hear? I can't hear you. The quality has gotten very bad. Is it possible? Repeat it
Is it
again. Maybe,
possible we can get materials, books for second semester start?
but just get it from her. Sorry, Tina is going to come grab it from you. The question, the quality has gone bad, so I can't hear you.
Okay.
It's not. Oh, it
Can you
should
hear
be
me
better.
now?
The quality seems to have lost. Gone bad.
Okay. The question is it possible if we can get the study materials before second semester starts?
Or is it possible to get the study materials before second semester? Oh, yes, of course. Once you enroll, you pay your 20. I mean, our second semester is starting in May. Once you enroll, you pay your 20%, you're on the full system. Within a week or so, you should be able to get your study material. I mean, maybe some of these questions you can answer. You're the one who deals with study materials. You could have just answered us today instead of passing the question to me. Yes, whoever asked, yes, it is possible if you enroll today within few days, maybe 5-6 days, you should hear us. And then we can even give you access to the portal 2 months before the course starts. You can start looking at old videos and all the rest. So yes, the answer is yes, it's quite possible. Yes, next question.
That is all for now.
Okay, if that is all, guys, I can only say thank you so much. The goal, we're almost like a few minutes to 8. I can only say thank you so much for joining our open day. In closing, again, these are our contact details. Guys, if you had some specific questions you wanted to ask, you couldn't get to ask, please, we are sharing now on the screen there our contact details. The first one is my email. It's vnti@charterquest.co.za. vnti@charterquest.co.za. The other one is my colleague, patience.mukondwa. That's patience.m@charterquest.co.za. And then our mobile WhatsApp number is there, 063 180 7412. Our landline is also there, 011 234 9223. So that's how you can use. If you have specific things that we may not have cleared up today, you can always use that to reach us. Otherwise, if you want to open that again, if you want to enroll, you can enroll, get free quotes. If you want to go and speak to your employer who might be sponsoring you, or you want to get a total quote to see whether you qualify for some of those discounts, you simply go here. You go here. You can all see where I am. You click here. If you click here, it will take you to this section, and then you follow through step by step. You get to free quote. You can say, I want a free quote. If you finally agree to free, you can come back and confirm the free quotes. You follow that through. You enter your, are you a returning student? You answer step by step. I'm sure you're all computer savvy guys. Follow that. You enroll or use that contact detail to send us if you need more clarity. On that note, we look forward to seeing you if you join us to start. We start in May. You still have 2 months to get yourself. Thank you so much for booking and for coming. And I now formally declare the session closed. Thank you. Bye. When?
Yes.
You wanted to see me?
Yeah, I do.
Are you sold? Do you want to do it?
Yeah. So I do have an investment sales, but
you did what?
I do have an interest with the investment.
Okay.
But I'm currently busy with my